All right, we are going to call the City of Iowa City work session to order on March 10th, 2026. And welcome again to everyone, and welcome to our staff up here. We're going to move on with item number 1, which is the University of Iowa Student Government updates, USG. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
First things first, all the students are very excited because next week is spring break, so that'll be great for us. Also, we talked about that housing program for veterans a while ago, and our veteran constituency senator was very happy to hear about that. He was very excited, so I just wanted to tell you that. Last week, our student senate passed a resolution that they would like to present to council. We haven't figured out the details with that, but I just want to let you know that that'll be coming at a future council meeting. And then, last but not least, my term as city liaison is almost up. So me and Eden would like to schedule some one-on-ones with you guys starting soon to kind of help in the transition process for her. And those are all the announcements we really have tonight.
Great. Thank you so much. And good luck on spring break. Lots of rest.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, hot mic.
Yes, yes. All right, item number 2 is clarification of agenda items from our formal agenda. Anything there?
Which one? Actually, I just had a question about, they are, I believe, in, let me pull it up. They're in the consent calendar. They're the P&Z, December 3rd, February 4th, and specifically February 18th, and they have in brackets the C recommendations. And as I understand it, those will be coming before us. These are just things just noted for us to see that there are recommendations that will be coming for us. Okay, thank you.
For February 26, I just want to just grab your attention to the table that we have. We are for a waiting list for Section 8. We still have like 2,507. We have for the public housing 1,529 as of March. So we still need affordable housing.
Mm-hmm. All right, hearing nothing else, we'll move on to item number 3, which is information packet discussion, February 19th, February 26th.
See the memo about listening posts. When's the time to schedule those? Thank you for nudging us.
Sure. Usually if I can just get like who would like to do them, and then I'll just reach out and schedule with the two folks. I mean, we could figure out just the next one or the next couple.
I think if we can determine who's going to do the next couple through the end of the year would probably be best.
Okay.
And we're just assigning people at that point.
Yeah, I'm happy to do one. I'm not sure that I care when or which one, and it seems to work best if there's already an event going on, rather than to hold it just for us.
So the persons that did the last one, who did the
Was that us at Dream City?
Dream City?
Yes, we did the Dream City.
I'm also down and willing.
Yeah, same.
Okay. We have how many more this year?
Well, we haven't had any this year so far, so
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
usually I'm about a month behind, so.
No worries. So we normally, I guess at this point, we would do 3, the rest of the, or 2 to 3? What do council feel? There's no hard and fast rule.
I can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say 3, given that puts us at about 1 1/4, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Sounds good.
Well, yeah, so,
to the end of the calendar year.
yes, okay.
Sorry.
So, yeah, so then that would be essentially,
Do an
Who-
April, May.
who wants to do the first one? April or May? I think it's really a point of,
There we go.
so we have Mayor Pro Tem and our Councilor Wineline. All right, they'll do one. And then who wants to do, I guess, July, August? All right.
I can.
We'll have Councilor Moore and Councilor Hermson. And then we have the last one of the year.
We can do it again. Laura and I.
All right. I will sit this one out. I'm okay with that. All right.
Thank you.
Every day is a listening post for you.
Yes. All right. Sounds great. So we are good. And Kelly, I think you will work directly with them on dates.
Yep.
All right. We'll move on to March 5th.
I don't know if this is. I didn't know if this is something we wanted to talk about as a body when it came to the item about the Human Rights Commission.
Sure.
So I guess I would just I don't know, pick people's brains about how we feel about if anybody had a process in mind that would make people feel better about, or if they're just okay with the Human Rights Commission doing what they're doing.
What I would say before that's answer, I don't know that that is a conversation that we should really have pertaining to the letter that was submitted.
Okay.
Certainly, the Human Rights Commission submitted a letter, which I have comments about. I think they did a great job of really stating the values of our community and sending a letter to our representatives. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the city also had our lobbyists register against House File 2541. And also there was another another amendment that was placed in the Senate, on the Senate side, Senate File 579, and we also registered against that. So thanks to our Human Rights Commission for really, this is, a hardship that our state is going this direction. And thanks to all of those commission members for taking time to write this. And I do think, that's a different topic that isn't related to this that's before us right now,
Okay.
what you were mentioning.
Okay, yeah. I also just wanted to say, I think that this is a great way for the Human Rights Commission to do what we appointed them to do. And I also wanted to thank them for putting in this work. Yeah.
So are we talking about?
I'm really
Well,
confused
except-
about this conversation.
Except the memo
this is
does
really-
state that there's about
So-
process.
Yes.
IP5,
Well, I guess if you're going to
Has the
yes, that
memo.
is true,
Yeah,
because
I mean, there is,
The direct lobbying versus making statements about our values are different things, and it's important to differentiate between those different things.
Yeah.
I don't know why
What IP5 is about.
both your mic and your mic, it doesn't seem to be picking up.
That-
can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yours, but
Oh.
Counselor, yeah,
Yours?
Mine?
yes.
Check.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Just
Maybe
get
I just wasn't
closer.
talking loud enough.
Yes, all right.
Yes.
Yes, this is true. So the city manager wrote a memo,
Yes.
and that is true. I was focused in on the
letter.
letter.
Okay. Yeah. No, totally
So
understandable.
yes. So there is a memo that certainly, yes, which does open up the opportunity if we want to talk about process, should we want to do that.
Yeah, I think that was a nice way to, I think the contents of the letter were fine, but it does raise the question of, do we want boards and commissions, basically, do we want them sending that to us for us to take action on, or directly lobbying on behalf of the city? And I think that's kind of the process question, as I understand it. And I think, that probably, we are supposed to be the ones like in direct contact with the lobbyist, and so I feel like having us, not pushing those duties off onto any other body, or also just like giving up our answerability, right? So if we have how many different commissions, if each one of them was lobbying directly on behalf of the city, as opposed to making a statement either as individuals or statements of values for the commission. That's all fine, but it's just like, okay, do we want them to, every commission to be able to be doing this, and what would that look like? if all this was happening without coming through the council, I mean, where's our accountability in that process if we're not involved in it? And so that's kind of what kind of struck me as actually something that we probably should be, because if we abdicate our responsibility, we are not holding ourselves accountable to the things that are advocated for on behalf of the people of Iowa City. So that's kind of my thoughts.
And for what it's worth, it's ultimately incredibly pedestrian, but it's a matter of logistics. We would be finding out about what has been said after the fact. And so we may have constituents saying who were there as this was unrolled, or who heard about it from the Human Rights Commission and said, did you hear about this? I said, actually, no, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's problematic to me. I would want, at the very least, to know about this in advance. Again, the Human Rights Commission, I am so incredibly proud of the work that they do, and every other commission, but I think across the board, it is something where, as a counselor, I would like to know so that I can be well informed as well. My sense is that I would prefer that it work through us, not as essentially a guardrail or a gatekeeper or anything, but simply so that that communication loop is there, so that we can be apprised of what's going on, so that we're not taken aback. And then, too, there always may be complicating factors and additional things going on that might be useful to be cognizant of. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I think having, and I don't know legally what we can do in terms, the only thing that I could consider, or that I could see that, having us potentially vote on something like at a later council meeting would be if it was something that was urgent, like, oh, we need to put out a statement right now for something, if we would have the ability to just be informed and then raise a concern if we had something, but I don't know what organizational form that would take. That's my only concern.
And I think even with something just issuing a statement, like on behalf, they do that, periodically, and I think that's fine. It's more of the reaching out directly to lawmakers to lobby for something. I mean, that again is that's kind of our responsibility, and then to make sure that on behalf of the entire city. Now, reaching out as individuals who happen to be on the commission, I got no problem with that. No beef whatsoever. It's just reaching out as if, taking upon the authority of we're now representing the city. Now, it happens in this case, I agree with them. So, I don't have any problem with that. In fact, we'd already done the work of reaching out to our lobbyists to reach out to the lawmakers. So really fortunate there. But just to kind of as a process, could I see some other situation happening that we might not be so crazy about it, or might be working at cross purposes to the council? I mean, that's the thing that could happen if we just say everybody can just directly lobby. Directly lobby as representing the city's position, as opposed to any individual can do it on their own, and should be engaged. But I would definitely kind of want to see if it becomes a matter of going straight to a legislator. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I had to lecture 2 classes today. Going straight to a legislator, that it comes through us. I just think that's just good process, and that keeps us accountable for what's being said in the city's behalf.
I really agree with you both, but especially I understand and I believe the Human Rights Commission always want the best, and when they want to come out, they have really good intention of doing everything. I got that, but for me, really during this tough time, I want to be strategically when we come out with our messaging. Even though if we agree about something, maybe we just during this, especially this time, and I think everybody understand what I mean by that, we need to be strategically when we reach out by our messaging. Sometimes, as I said before, if this is something going to hurt us, maybe we don't have to do it publicly. And I recommend that they come to us first before they can do something like this. Yeah.
And I think this is clear from the conversation, but just to make sure we're following the absent other direction from council question that's in Jeff's memo. The issue is if they are taking a position on legislation, that would come before us, to make a recommendation on taking a position for legislation versus issuing a statement and then any commissioner can, of course, send the statement to any legislator saying, I'm a member of this commission. We issued a statement. Here's my opinion on it.
Yes.
That's the distinction, right? Okay,
Yes, yes.
thank you.
Exactly. Not as a city. Yeah.
I do want to seek some clarification on, for any of the commissions, if we're saying our representatives, we've been talking about state representatives, federal representatives, but we also have local representatives as well, like the school board.
Include that all together.
Yeah, and I mean, so other governmental bodies as well.
That makes sense.
It does make sense.
I think so.
Which would include the University of Iowa because they're a governmental body. So, all right. So it seemed like that is the direction that this council wants to go for all commissions. All right, sounds great.
And this conversation is sufficient. You don't need any kind of
I don't need anything formal.
change.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And yeah, I think maybe just one more time for this, like, we want the Human Rights Commission to be able to make statements as much as they want when it comes to directing the city to register as for or opposed to some legislation. That is where we just want our okay. So we're not telling the Human Rights Commission, don't say anything publicly or don't recommend, like, to the council. Like, we as a Human Rights Commission think the council could take this action because, you know, I want
that's what their
I
job
want
is.
commissions to feel like they could publicly come out and say the council is messing up and you guys need to change behavior, or, you know. So I just want to make sure that that's clear
Yeah.
to everyone who might be listening.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for March 5th?
In IP6, I wanted to ask, it was the fairly lengthy memo, packed with information on housing, and I wanted to just make a comment about it's great to see that people are taking advantage, whether people, individual residents who want more ADUs or whether they're developers, but that there's more ADU and duplex permits going on. That's great. But then I also wanted to ask to first applaud the tenant-based rental assistance program. That's fantastic. And I just wanted to ask, it might be too early yet, if there are any projections about how many households might be helped in FY26.
I think that's something we'd have to come back to you on.
Right,
but
yeah, no.
Our next update, we can,
I don't mean
put-
to
put that
put you
in
on the
there.
spot. It's just, it is a question. I have 31 when it was, done in 25 is really impressive. So.
yeah, we can do another update on the next issuance of this memo.
Great, thank you.
And out of this, the 31 household that we talked about, is this the limit of the program? I know this is new program, but is only our target is 31 for so far, or going to be more than that? Or you don't know?
We'll include that in our next
right.
update. How's that? Yeah, sorry, I don't have that
No,
information.
that's fine.
Well, but it sounds-
amazing.
But it seems like that was what was served, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what was
Yeah,
there.
it'd be
But
nice
I
if
want to
it was
know,
more.
like, is there more? Yeah. But yeah, I heard a lot of people in the community who receive that, and people who really have disability and elderly people. And I think they were really in the waiting list suffering. And suddenly they said, we received this from the city, which is, I think it's really great. Thank you for doing that.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 4, 24/7 AEDs in Iowa. We'll bring up Johnson County Ambulance Service. Welcome.
Hello, Fiona Johnson, Ambulance Director, and I have a slideshow. Do I bring it up myself?
Second row on the left.
Row on the left. There we go. That's
Yep.
great.
Just close that out.
There we go. All right. Fiona Johnson, Ambulance Director. Thankful to be here today to just give you an update on the efforts of the Rotary Kerber Community Campaign and Johnson County Ambulance Service. So our partnership with the Rotary Kerber Heart Safe Community Campaign started 5 years ago, and that's when this group was formed by some friends and family members of the late Richard Kerber, who was a local cardiologist. And so this group really wanted to carry his life work further, and so they came up with a mission, created a committee, and their goal was really to just increase survival statistics from sudden cardiac arrest in Johnson County. And their goal was to do that by training individuals in CPR, motivate them to help save lives doing CPR and using an AED. They really wanted any out-of-hospital cardiac arrests to have somebody, and we're talking about cardiac arrests in the public setting, they really just wanted an individual from the public that would be there willing to do CPR and use an AED. So this was their goal and their mission. And then we started our partnership, and in the last 5 years, I'm happy to report that we've had a 120% increase in our survival statistics from sudden cardiac arrest in Johnson County. So what does that mean? It means in 2020, we had a 9% survival statistic, and in 2025, we had a 19.8. So 120% increase in survival statistic. And this is when somebody has a sudden cardiac arrest in the out-of-hospital setting, they receive care from the ambulance and first responders, go to the hospital, receive care, and then are ultimately discharged to live a relatively normal life. So that is the survival to discharge that we're discussing. And so pretty impressive numbers, and then you take into consideration that the national average is right around 10%. So we're doing some really, really good things here in Johnson County. And that is not just because of Johnson County Ambulance Service and the Rotary Kerber Heart Safe Community Campaign, but it's also because of our community partners. And so we thank you all for your proclamation last month. It's really that awareness that we send out to the community about the importance of learning CPR and using an AED that truly makes a difference. So thank you for that. And then thank you for our ongoing partnership working with the fire department and the police department, because ultimately they get there before we do. And so they're starting that life-saving care first. In addition to our efforts with the community, we also brought PulsePoint to Johnson County. And now PulsePoint literally is that life-saving tool. I know I tell you about it every single time I come to talk to you, but I like to repeat it just in case there's a new listener today. And so that's a free-to-download app that notifies people that CPR is needed within a person's vicinity. And so then they can get the guidance from that app as to where that person is, and then there's a reminder on the app of how to do CPR. So this is literally a life-saving app, and so that is something special to our community. This is just a snip of how many downloads we've had to PulsePoint in the last year, and while it's really exciting to say we've got a 23% increase, it's also important to note that only 3.5% of our community has downloaded the app. So can you imagine what our survival statistics would be if we had that downloads into the 2 digits? If we had over 10% of our community had that downloaded, I'm excited about the possibilities. So that's why it's important to spread the word about PulsePoint, because we need more people to download that app. In addition to that, we have ongoing collaboration with the local libraries. So when our partnership began, we started with giving CPR mannequins and AED trainers and training materials to the big 3 libraries, so Iowa City, Coralville, and North Liberty. And we've just decided to expand that to all the libraries in Johnson County. So I just got off the phone with Swisher Public Library a little bit ago, and in communication with the other smaller libraries, and we'll be able to have that training materials out to them soon. And I would be remiss if I left here without giving everybody homework. So we have action items. There's always room to improve. And so we need people to learn CPR. And we're not talking about hour-long certification class. We're talking about a 15-minute hands-only CPR session, or watch it on YouTube. Whatever you need to do to understand what the process is and be willing to do that. Know where your AEDs are in the community. When you're out in the community and you're at your favorite store or movie theater or visiting a friend at a large housing complex, ask where the AEDs are. And if there isn't one, encourage those agencies, those locations, to get an AED. If you need CPR training, contact me. My number is there. If you need an AED, contact the Rotary Kerber at our website, the iowaheartsafe.org. Those are our websites down below. And just remember that together we can and are saving lives. So,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, before you leave, any questions from council?
What was that phone number again?
Oh, sure. 319-356-6013, and that's just the main number for the ambulance service. Or 911. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have any CPR trainings scheduled for the community that are open for the community?
We always host during the summer at the Iowa City Public Library. We will also do it at Arts Fest. We'll have a session there. We often partner with the Iowa City Fire Department for that. And then if you're looking for another date, like I said, you can just call me. We can do the hands-only sessions pretty much any time. And then we also put training on our website.
Great, thanks.
Do you do it in any language other than English?
We do easily in Spanish and English, but if I could have some contacts with people that would be able to train it in other languages, then I can teach them we can have kind of like a train the trainer type approach.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's a great idea. The training materials that we have sent out to the libraries, right now they have English and Spanish, but we're also currently working on getting translations for Chinese, Arabic, Swahili, French, and I think that's it.
But you can train bilingual person who can go and be trained the trainer.
Yes,
train other
definitely.
people. Okay, that's good. Yeah, sure.
Great. Anything else? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to item number 5, which is Summit Street Affordable Housing Project Update.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi, Tracy Highshoe, Neighborhood Development Services. Let me just upload the PowerPoint. All right, thank you. Tonight I'm here to present a milestone for us for affordable housing. This marks our first foray into affordable housing development that we step ourselves into the role of developer. We've had a long history of we acquire property, we manage it as affordable housing, we help our nonprofit partners with the financing for them to create affordable housing, but this is us as a developer. It represents more than just a building, it represents our commitment to ensuring that our residents have safe, stable, affordable housing. If you recall, with our ARPA funds, we dedicated a certain amount of money for affordable housing. We purchased 3 townhomes at Herbert Hoover, and then we purchased this lot on North Summit Street. Just to remind you about the pro-housing grant, we got $3.7 million. In that grant, we identified what we felt are local barriers to housing. One of those was the local development capacity. We need to increase our local development capacity to build housing. So we hired Baker Tilly. They are a national firm that provides accounting, tax, audit, advisory services that focuses on housing finance, especially affordable housing. They will serve as our development manager. So they will be taking us through the funding sources, the design, then they'll come back and they'll focus on the closeout. Once constructed, the housing will be owned and managed by the affordable housing as a permanent affordable rental. The lot that we purchased was zoned RM12. That means it does not need to go to P&Z. It does not need to go to zoning. It is zoned for the appropriate density that we have in mind. And the location was selected, and if you remember Naomi, our Harvard summer fellow, regarding that social vulnerability level index, you can see right here, basically shows what census tracts have higher economic mobility for children and low social vulnerability. So it's in a great location for us to build affordable housing. It is also located in an area that does not have a lot of subsidized affordable housing opportunities. So if you can see the X by Hickory Hill Park, that is the proposed location of this lot. We anticipate 36 units, just on a high level, looking at the lot size that we can build, and with the affordable housing bonus that we have in place, we can build 36. Does that mean we're going to actually build 36? Could it come in at 34, 37, 36? Don't know, but we're anticipating 36 units. The proposed mix is out in front of you. We anticipate half of them being one-bedroom units, and that was designed because over half of our leased vouchers right now are one-bedroom units. And of the one-bedroom units, 260 are in 2-bedroom units because we don't have enough supply of 1-bedroom units. So when you have a 1-bedroom voucher and a 2-bedroom voucher, they're probably paying over 30% of their income on a housing. The first year, they could pay up to 40%. In subsequent years, they could pay up to 50% or over for the rental. About 60% of our vouchers are elderly and disabled, and that creates a lot of mobility impairments and different issues that we need accessible units over time. And as you know, accessible units, we have great need, and it is hard to come by. Now, our consultant, looking at our housing market, we need affordable units at all 1, 2, 3, 3-plus bedroom units. But our housing authority, between our 2 programs, public housing and vouchers, our most need are 1 and 3 bedrooms. That being said, I asked the consultant, can we just do 1 and 3 bedrooms? And they need 2 bedrooms. 1, we have that need, and 2, it provides design flexibility as we're building out the building. Because we used ARPA funds, which is based on home requirements, and pro-housing, which is based on CDBG, we know at least 18 units are subject to the federal requirements. We will cap rent at 60% of area median income on the property. 18 units or more or below have to be at fair market rent, but we plan to have all units at least below the Housing Authority payment standard so that somebody with a voucher can be in any of the units. Because of the federal funds, it kicks in Davis-Bacon, Section 3, BABA. We'll have to administer those. It might increase the construction costs as contractor they must comply with those regs. Then the fair housing regulations that come in with multifamily, basically over 4 units. We have accessible design features such as has to be accessible building entrance on accessible route. You have to have usable doors, accessible route into and through the dwelling unit. And then we have such a percentage that must be mobility accessible and sensory accessible. We're looking at a $10.7 million project. And with 10.7, you can see we have about 7 sources of funding in there. Your goal with affordable housing, because we have restricted rents, is to get the least amount of debt that the project can support. So we have committed already. We've committed the ARPA funds. We've committed the pro-housing funds. We've secured funding from the Housing Trust Fund of Johnson County. We anticipate the rest of the funds. So we're creating a nonprofit. You're going to hear from one of our consultants or an attorney that we hired. As our repositioning our public housing, we need to create a nonprofit that supports the Housing Authority where we put our housing portfolio. In order to apply for Iowa Workforce Housing Tax Credits in June to get the $1 million, we have to apply through that nonprofit. We anticipate 2 years of lost revenue. You guys have not decided that for sure yet. Anything that's not anticipated that we can't find a source of funds for gets into our permanent loan. So if we can't find or we don't secure the amount of workforce housing tax credits, we don't sell the Chauncey for the price that we anticipate, you have to increase your permanent debt, and that increases the project. It's just harder to cash flow because we don't want to raise rents. And we have a certain threshold that we have to stay under, but you could do market rate on a couple or a few. We'd have to look at the funding source. We also, when we build in the uses, we're including the initial replacement reserve, and we have a consultant expense. We forego our developer fee because we don't have the expertise. When we talk to Baker Tilly, we are not at the size of a housing authority to hire someone full-time to run our development. So that means we're hiring an outside source for technical assistance to see us through the design, up to the bidding, and then close out. So we'll probably, I think Baker Tilly said, unless we're to the point that we're running 3 to 4 development projects simultaneously at some level of development, we're probably not big enough to have someone full-time to serve this role. So just know that instead of a developer fee, we're probably going to, for the foreseeable future, have that consultant expense.
Tracy, in terms of, you had talked about needing to secure something in June, some kind of monies, and you needed to have the nonprofit stood up by then. So I take it's now early March, like the steps to do that, you don't foresee that that's going to be an issue?
No, you're going to, like a precursor to come. So
Okay.
At your April meeting, we're going to have that presentation.
Okay.
And the application's not due until, I think, June 10th. So you'll have several meetings before June 10th. So we'll have the attorney go through the process. We'll take your input. You can either approve it in April if there's more information you need. There's still 2 meetings in April, 2 meetings in May, and probably 1 meeting in June. So we have some time there, but it's $1 million we want to go for it. It's a new source that we've not ever applied for. So as we go and we learn, depending on the project, do we apply for Federal Home Loan Bank funds? Do we apply for National Housing Trust funds, home funds, or National Home Funds? So it'll be a learning curve, but affordable housing takes 4 to 6 different sources of funds. And so then you also are playing with like compliance for 4 to 6 different funds. So it creates an interesting project with the goal just to get the debt as low as you can.
And I can definitely just follow up with you afterwards, but do you foresee that the fact that the nonprofit piece will be so newly formed that that would be a detriment to the loan, to the application?
No.
The application is very
Bob?
easy. I don't think it's difficult to get the nonprofit, especially the cause is amazing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
just wondered if the formation of the nonprofit,
It doesn't
that it
take
would be
long.
so, because it would be, literally, the ink would still be wet, essentially,
Yes.
that would be a problem for the grantor. But if you say no, then,
We don't anticipate a problem, not based
Yeah.
on our 2 consultants. I guess never say never.
Yes.
And then with engineering, went through a RFQ for architects, especially specifically for residential design. We are working with the architect. They scored the highest, so we will work with them. On April 7th, that architecture A&E agreement will come back to you for approval. And this is the timeline. And this timeline builds in 2 points for city council. So not only will you have the approval of the architecture agreement, you'll have the approval of the plans and specs formally when it comes out to bid, which is March of next year. Then we have 2 check-in meetings, one after the neighborhood meeting. So we hire the architect, they do some high-level conceptual designs, we take it to the neighborhood, we get some feedback, the architect goes into design, and then before we finalize our design, we bring it back to you again for another check-in, because if there are changes that you want to see, we want them before final design, because that way we don't want to increase costs or move a different direction once we get to that final design phase. So we expect we start construction in May of next year, and that's a 12 to 18-month process, and we start lease up of fall of 2028, and that is well before the pro-housing deadline of 2029.
What's the relationship, what kind of relationship with the AE professional do you expect? Is this a design build or a design bid build kind of process?
Good question. We talked to HUD, we don't think we can go through the construction manager at risk, so it's a design bid, build bid. Sorry, design bid build. Say that
But the
5 times
federal
fast.
government will not? Is that the differentiation?
Yeah, because in the general accounting principles, the general construction is something that you have to see, you have to have a competitive, it has to be the lowest cost. And you don't necessarily, you factor that in with qualifications when you do CMAR, so.
It's fine, I was just
Yeah.
curious if there was any
We would like
benefit to doing it that way. Yeah.
We tried to. The consultant and the architect both preferred that, but then when we talked to HUD, they said, you can do it, but, and it got to be so many buts, we're like, never mind, we'll just do design, bid, build.
Okay.
So,
I just want to ask you, like, you mentioned that you choose the number of the bedroom, like 18, 6, and 12, based on like how many people you have in the waiting list, like one bedroom, and it was more than 51, you said, I think 51%.
of the one bedrooms that are leased right now,
Yeah.
216 are in 2 bedrooms, just because there's a lack of 1 bedrooms.
And how you see that can reduce the waiting list when we build, like, is this going to be a voucher being given to the people who live there? How you comparing this to the waiting list? How this is going to reduce the waiting list?
Essentially,
Section 8 waiting list.
we're not getting more vouchers. We just
Uh-huh.
know there's a large need in the community for 1 bedroom and 3 bedrooms. And so we know there's a huge need for accessible units, especially at the 1 bedroom, just because 60% of our voucher holders, which is kind of similar to how many people are in need, they need 1 bedrooms.
Yeah, because those people being in the waiting list for a long time. My question is, like, right now there is other people did not apply because Section 8 is closed. And how do you see this is, you think you're going to offer this to the people on the waiting list, or this is going to be open for everyone?
This will be open for everyone, but we assume that, 216 people are in a 2-bedroom unit, and if they could go down from a 2-bedroom and 1 bedroom and afford a 1-bedroom, we anticipate we'll get a lot of housing choice voucher applicants. Not new housing choice vouchers, because we don't get any more housing choice vouchers for the community, but whenever you open up a LIHTC project or basically new construction project that accepts vouchers, we get a lot of voucher. I mean, people move in that have a voucher. So we're assuming that 216, that they would love the opportunity to go into a 1-bedroom where they can pay, the voucher covers a 1-bedroom and they're not paying 30, 40, 50% of their income on rent.
Yeah. But still, I just want, I see like 18 bedroom. One bedroom is really a lot, where we need a lot of two bedroom. Just from my work and searching for people, I see a lot of light-tech. Like if you go to Next right now, they have three one bedroom available. One of them is 639 a month. So and nobody is taking it. So I just like from my experience of just like around light-tech in the community, I see there is a lot of vacancies for one bedrooms, and people are not using it. And that's why I think people are not finding two bedroom on the light-techs. It's being taken like this all the time. And now the one that left is a marketplace, or maybe the 80% kind of like one bedroom will be over, 1,500 or something like that. But that's why I don't know. I think it worth, try to reach out and see at least the light-techs in the community, how, like there is available for one bedrooms. I want to see like more two bedroom because that's really the needs in the community. And I have been seeing even family who cannot afford the 3-bedroom, if they have, for example, 3 children, they still can live in the 2-bedroom and doing like if their kids is little, they can have bunk bed, and they been doing that. So I just wanted to see more of if there is a way we can increase the 2-bedroom comparing to the 1-bedroom.
Were you saying that was a design hardship? It was the initial.
No. We expressed interest in, we need accessible units, and because we have so many people with elderly or disabled, we wanted a majority of 1-bedroom units that are accessible. So if the council can direct us to whatever unit mix, but we also need to, the consultant was basically saying we need a mix of units, 1, 2, and 3.
And the consultant is saying that we should have a mix because that's just their experience, or because it's a study of our community and the needs, or I guess how did the recommendation come to be?
We looked at, well, they did do a market study, mostly of rents and vacancy rates. They have a light-tech senior vacancy rate of 1.2% when they went to I think this was done in 2025. They had 15 comparable developments with about 1,500 units inventoried, and they found 1.2% vacancy rate with light-tech senior. Light-tech general vacancy is 3.4. Market rate multifamily vacancy was 4.1. And I don't know if the architect was thinking of a design that you need 1 and 2, 3 bedrooms so that they can piece in better. That I don't know. But we get the architect on board, and then we go through that exercise, and we do a high-level concept plan.
Okay.
Just making sure that I'm kind of tracking along here. It sounds like maybe, did I understand correctly, that if people that are currently in 2 bedrooms and using a 1-bedroom voucher, they're actually paying a lot more. And so they're currently in our community in a 2-bedroom with a 1-bedroom voucher. And the thought is that, let's say there are 18 units, we might see a percentage of those 18 be people that are currently in 2 bedrooms moving to a 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
Opening up a 2-bedroom. So is that?
Yes.
And having that like existing, so they're, even though they're not 2 bedrooms on this, the thought is that there would be, in terms of the net supply of open 2 bedrooms in Iowa City,
Yeah.
is that.
Whenever you
is that-
create new units, you're opening up supply for the existing units that people are moving in out of. So yes.
So just, we don't know exactly what that number will be, but that's part of
Yeah.
what you're saying, correct?
Yeah. We just anticipate why we're not requiring vouchers. This is not a project base. We just assume a lot of voucher holders will be moving.
Exactly. But my question is, if we're gonna make only the project, like the vouchers, the people who have vouchers, move to this building, what did we have done? Nothing. I thought we are increasing like more affordable housing without a voucher, because we have a limited vouchers, and if the people have rented from somewhere else, not the city, with the voucher, they are okay. And we can have somebody who cannot have a vouchers to live on those affordable housing. That's what I was thinking. But if we're going to the people who currently live somewhere with the vouchers, they will move to this one. We are not adding more I don't know, do you get what I mean? Like, I just feel like we're not adding more affordable housing. The people who have vouchers, they are fine. Anyone who have vouchers, they're fine because we're charging them 30% of their income. That's why they are fine. But there is a lot of people who are in the, whether they are in the waiting list or they are not even applying because the waiting list is closed. Those are people that we want them to have like this kind of affordable renter unit. That's why I feel like we don't have to compare it with this. We just have to increase like more affordable units in the community without like giving chance for the people to move in with a voucher. That's what I believe.
I think I hear what you're saying, and I very much appreciate the, like, how do we get the best or the biggest net gain of affordable housing, right? Is that kind of what you're saying of, like, how do we just make sure we're
Yes.
adding units? I think there's a couple of issues that anyone please on staff correct me if I'm wrong, but one that we've learned is that the city is a really good landlord, and that people, if they have a voucher and want to move into our property, may actually have a much better living condition than
course.
being, in a different place. And the other thing is, I don't think we want to exclude voucher holders, right? We know how hard it is for voucher holders to find places where they can rent. We know there's a number of unhoused people who have vouchers but are not actually in housing right now because they can't find a landlord that will accept it.
Yes, that's where you can get it. But if somebody is okay somewhere and they did not, like, why we offer it to them? If not, like, don't offer it. I don't
I think
know.
we don't. I
We're
think the
not
challenge.
eliminating them.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Yeah.
think that's the challenge.
can
Is we
come.
don't want to preemptively say these kinds of folks can't. Come and.
I did not say like can't.
Okay.
I said like preferable, like open it to everybody, but not like give it to the people who have the voucher if they are okay in where they stand. Some people, like you saying, have a voucher in their hand and they couldn't find any place. Like I think the housing authority did it, and they offer them. I know like a couple of people that they get the North Liberty housing that we bought, which is solve a problem for somebody who have a voucher, but they couldn't find anything. But I just don't want to think, and also I don't want to end up segregating the people by income. I was thinking to have some like market price in this unit, and also like vouchers and people without a voucher who can, the LIHTC programs that we are benefiting from it now. People who don't have vouchers, they live in the LIHTC programs, and very nice building, like the next building, and they still live there without a voucher, but they are having very good price. I don't know, that's what I really think, but.
Since we're accepting federal funds, home, CDBG, basically, ARPA and pro-housing or home CDBG, we can't refuse a voucher holder. So while it's not project-based voucher, and we can't put a preference, if somebody has a voucher, they have to be treated like anybody else. We'd have to accept them. We can't tell them no.
Yeah, I don't mean that. I don't know why, maybe I wasn't clear. But no, I don't mean that. I did not mean you have to refuse those. You just said that. I just said, like, we need to add more for the people who don't have a voucher. And that's not the thing that's really worried me now. What is really worried me is the people who have 2-bedroom, is more than 1-bedroom. There is many 1-bedroom in this community, and LIHTC programs are vacant. That's why I want to see more 2-bedrooms, because that's the needs. I'm dealing with housing every single day, and I saw this firsthand. We can find 1-bedrooms, but we cannot find 2-bedrooms or 3-bedroom, especially 3-bedroom.
I just keep looking at the first bullet point on this slide, and I think what Councilor Harmsen was saying is we can create 2-bedroom units, if we can get 1-bedroom voucher holders into a 1-bedroom and free up the 2-bedroom. Like that is a net gain. We're winning. We're making progress. I think that's what I understand that first bullet point to mean is we know that we have a mismatch right now, and this helps sort of reorder that. And we will be effectively, even though we're building 1-bedrooms, we're making 2-bedrooms available. And I guess maybe there's a scenario too where it's people in 2s that should be in or 3s that should be in 2s. I don't know that to be true because it's not up here, but from what I see here, and I believe it, is there's a mismatch that we're trying to correct. So
The question will be for you, what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a certain limitation for somebody can say, hey, I have a voucher for 2-bedroom, but I found 3-bedroom. If the 3-bedroom is not like worthing the voucher, you are not give it to them. I've been with Section 8, and I know that if it's like up to 40% from their income, you can go just up to 40% of their income.
In that first
to
year,
give them that.
Yeah, so we do have people in 2 bedrooms that are in 3 bedrooms, and they're choosing to pay, they might be paying up to 40%.
Yes, but
And then
but
after
it's
the
still
first year, they can
affordable.
pay more than that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just know this because I did it myself. I've been a Section 8 holder before, and I know how it works. No matter what, if my voucher, if I want to live for 2-bedroom, I have 2-bedroom voucher, and I want to live in, I don't find 2-bedroom, but I find 3-bedroom, it have to be, I cannot pay more than 40%. No matter how much is it, my 40% have to be equal to the rent of that 3-bedroom I'm going to live in. And if that 3-bedroom is not going to be 40%, Section 8 is not going to accept it. So when you say you are freeing those people with 40%, they live there with a voucher and they are okay. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, they can still become 30% of the pay 30% of the rent, not 40, but there is people paying 50, 60, from their income. That's what I just mean. When you're saying you're gonna free, keep in mind, this is not like really happening even by Section 8 law. It have to be 60%, 40% of their income, no more than that.
Yeah, I think I just think of it as the amount of voucher holders we get in units, the more wiggle room it just gives everybody. And then, once we get voucher holders, just kind of like a rising tides raises all ships type thing. And I know exactly what you're saying. I do agree that when I think about, I know it's like a desire, it's my desire too, to have as many of the deeply affordable units as possible. And at the same time, I think about, not to say that this isn't something that y'all have thought about, the overall success and fungibility of these projects to make sure that they are, 1, successful, and 2, thriving, meaning that it is an overall benefit to our, housing authority in the long run, to where it's not something to where we're building these and then each one is an extra drain on our housing funds, but we actually just, hopefully in the long term, start making money, and then the money goes back into our housing authority, and then it adds to our capability to develop more housing. And so I was just reading a little bit. I like to read about examples all the time, and things that other places and cities have done. And when I think about adding what you were saying, which is more market rate units onto things like this, we might think just like, well, why is the city doing market rate housing? There's a particular, I'm forgetting what the social housing project is called in Vancouver off the top of my head, but I think it was like 15 years ago. It was developed in downtown Vancouver, and the rent at that point was market rate, and it was like $1,900. But that was 15 years ago. And now, after 15 years, the rent is basically still only $1,900 for those market rate units. And now it's considered very affordable, but it's not a financial drain. And an apartment building right next to it, which is the market rate rent, is $4,000. So it might, I just want to say, maybe we shouldn't be so hesitant if that seems to be like an option or something that needs to happen, put some more higher AMI or even market rate units, because if it's non-market, then it becomes affordable in the future and adds to that overall stock. So, yeah.
Two things. Tracy, do you have more presentation?
Nope.
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
I just wanted to
sorry.
make sure that you, like, we didn't.
That was my question.
I thought I saw thank you come up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was my,
There's 80. Nope.
I do have a question.
Okay,
I just
all right.
wanted to make sure that
All
we
right.
weren't preventing you from finishing
Nope,
your
nope.
presentation.
That was it. That was the whole enchilada
Yeah.
right there.
Regarding the blend of units, it seems to me very important that you get clear direction from council on what we're building immediately, not after we see the first iteration of an apartment building.
That would be helpful, yes.
Okay, like, I'm think that what you have proposed is what we've been talking about for a long time. I hear what you're saying, but I also want to be really careful about, like, because that was my background, is going through this process and how damaging it can be to actually delivering a project on time and on budget, is to change what we want midstream. We should decide now, like, what we're doing. And I don't know, I want to be respectful of your concerns about this, but also, no, we have to decide now. Is this what we're building, or are we changing the mix of units, or are we putting in a substantial amount of market rate apartments? Like, I don't think so, but maybe we should all be very clear about that.
I
To
suppose
put
my
market
point.
rate, I have to review the regs. Since we purchased the land with ARPA funds, when you're talking about like how many market rate, I'd have to investigate, because we were
Okay.
assuming all under 60%, all at restricted rents. And if we're not doing that, then I have to verify with the funders how many units could actually be market rate.
Yeah, I suppose I was just saying, I like this. I was just supposed to have saying, if for some reason we find out in the future this isn't solvent, or this doesn't make sense and we need some of them to be a little bit higher, we
Is
shouldn't
that
freak out. Yeah.
Well, is that possible to do? And also, I mean, I do think that we need to say, I think the thing that's wonderful about work sessions is that we, and this in particular, is that at the same time we're able to focus in on, like, this is a project that's moving forward, then we're able to then honestly just balloon it out and say, okay, what are all of the other goals and mechanisms that we potentially have and that we need to pull and need to work through, right? But I completely agree. We need to say, what is it that we're doing with this project, and what are the requirements and the constraints, and how do we work within those, as are the dollars that we have been granted thus far, and then that we're going after, right? Those are going to be, that's the parameters, right? And then we can also say, okay, and within our portfolio for the future, are we going to look at market rate? Are we going to look at some housing that has a greater mix, that is a lot more potentially family-friendly with much larger units, many more bedrooms, things like that. But I think it does scare me a little bit we just need to be very clear about what, like, on the one hand, we're talking about this presentation, and we're talking about what's next too as well. Not all of it is going to get lumped into this one project, because it's just not possible.
I really don't concern about the market rate here, because you said it's up to 60%, right? Then we already have different, like, price. We have 30. We say we need like 30%, but now we have up to 60. Some people be 60, okay? Some people be 50, 55, and some people be 30%, which is, I think it's good mix.
Okay.
All I'm saying that we need more
You would-
2-unit, and I think we can take 2-bedroom apartment from the 18, make 2-bedroom unit, make it 7, and make that 16 unit of 1-bedroom, 7, 2-bedroom, 12, 3-bedroom. That's my proposal.
Can you repeat that?
Like, you know how 2-bedroom make one apartment 2-bedroom? So we can take the 2-bedroom unit from the 1-bedroom, like take 2 1-bedroom, add
Oh, so put it to like 16 units of one bedroom
and 7
gotcha.
and 12. Yeah. That's my proposal.
Did you say that, I thought I heard earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that the 2-bedroom units being at the amount that it was also due to design flexibility? Or did I hear
believe
that
so.
incorrectly?
The architects were talking about, well, to be honest, studio is the cheapest. You cash flow best with studio, but that is not the intended market we
Yes.
plan on serving.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what our consultant was looking at, not only was the need considered, but it was the design and what cash flows when we build it. So we'd have to go back to Baker Tilly and say, okay, what flexibility do we have? Because we still have to cash flow at the end of the day.
And that's what I was going to ask is, Tracy, we have the regulatory environment based on the funding sources for this particular project, which tops out at 60% AMI for
Yep.
the rents. So I think, Councilor Saleh, in response to your proposal, I think if we know that this can cash flow and it's based on, the factors that we've been discussing tonight, I'm comfortable with this for this project. I do think we need to take into account your experience that you're seeing on the ground and why are there vacancies in 1-bedrooms when we have voucher holders in 2-bedrooms, that want to be in a 1-bedroom, and make sure that the communication is happening there.
As far as this becoming a learning opportunity too, are you able to report back to council on sort of, and keep looking at bullet point 1? Like, I know we don't want to know the names of these people, but can you say, like, this is what's causing this churn? Can you say we've been able to identify 10 people in 2-bedrooms who wanted to move into 1-bedrooms and were able to avail? Is that something that you can learn from this process, or is that not really possible?
Plus 216 folks, we can generalize. We can
Okay.
tell you what we're seeing and what people.
I, of course, don't want to anonymize. We don't want that, but I think it would be interesting to know if the theory of helping move people into the right size is actually working. I would like to know that, if you can provide that information. And then I think that would be helpful then as we design the next one that maybe has more 2-bedrooms, to have that information in front of us.
And the one that you have right now currently, those people already have leased, already have voucher, not the people on the waiting list.
No, not on the waiting list. People that are leased right now.
That's what I really mean. There is a lot families looking for 2-bedroom, and those people already have leased, and they can move, no problem. They can move in the new one. But let us compare the current waiting list. How many people you have, they waiting for 1-bedroom, and how many people you have, they waiting for 2-bedroom. Because those people also going to be benefit from this.
I think I could ask Rachel. We could also tell you how long it takes someone who needs accessible units, how long it takes to find a unit, or if they're not able to find one. I think
Yeah.
we'd have that information. We
That
could
would be
provide
good
that.
to know.
Yeah. I think this looks great, and I was also just at the Northside Neighborhood Association meeting last night and gave not all of this information, but just kind of like a brief overview, and people were very excited, and I
That's
think
great. We hope to be a good neighbor.
Yeah, exactly.
That is our goal.
People were very excited, and a lot of people didn't even know that the city had bought that land and what was going to happen there, and now they know. And and I know we haven't even hired an architect yet or any of these things, but is there any something I think about or I've thought about is like amenities, like on-site, what have you. I know lots of places will have like their own playground or like little child care room or stuff like that, and I just didn't know if anything like that has been thought of at this
We're
point.
discussing that. We've been waiting to have the architect on board to discuss what are the possibilities, but what we anticipate is an elevator. We're anticipating laundry facilities in each unit. We're anticipating some type of play area. If we do, based on the zoning, you're looking at L-shaped configuration for that lot. Due to setbacks, the size of the lot, how it lays out, you're either looking at one building along Summit Street and a building, the L part that goes back further, or you're looking at one building that is an L-shaped. And so if you do two buildings, then you have to have a courtyard, and that courtyard would have to have we'd put something there,
Okay.
some playground or some type of feature. So we're looking at that, a community room. We're trying to figure out what we need and what we can sustain and what we can maintain.
All things I'm excited to hear about.
I have a question about the development fee that we're not taking on this project, and the comment that you had that you would expect that we'd need 3 or 4 projects going at a time before we could kind of justify a full-time person.
Developer type
person, yeah. Number one, do you have a sense of like when that might be, just based on this process?
we got to get through the first one first.
Okay.
It's a learning curve, and I know Jason and I are already having conversations about who needs what do we need, what kind of supervision. Baker Tilly will serve as our development manager from now through design.
Okay.
And then we have to discuss, do we have to hire somebody above and beyond that during construction? So that is a learning curve for us, but construction doesn't happen until next year.
And that was another one of my questions is like the developer that we would have in-house, is that more like serving as like almost like a general contractor kind of role, or is it more the regulatory pieces that you were talking about that are so complex?
I think the development manager, one, is like parceling land together. They're determining, they're finding the sources of funds that we could go after. They're looking at the type of project, like your unit mix. They're coordinating all the bidding of the RFQ for the architect, the contractor. They're basically a development manager.
Yeah.
And that we don't have enough funds and we don't have enough projects going at the same time to hire someone full-time to do that. So we're going to, for at least the next 3 or 4 or 5 projects, have to outsource that with TA through it doesn't have to be through Baker Tilly, but it'll be through some outside source.
Okay.
And then we do have to worry about, and like I said, it's in the horizon because we'll start construction next, not this season, but next season. You have all the Davis-Bake and BABA, Section 3, just the ongoing project coordination. And we are used to doing it for other projects, like when Shelter House did Cross Park Plays or whatever. We administered those requirements. But a project that lasts 12 to 18 months to this amount of extent, it's going to be draining on staff, and we have to figure out how we can best manage that.
That makes sense. Thank you.
I have a related question, I think, and that would be, I think it sounds great that we would have somebody with that expertise in-house, especially to manage construction projects. That seems to be like especially when Davis-Bacon is required, and a good thing to have. And but when we have Baker Tilly or another developer on call or working for us, how broad does their expertise get with your office? And I'm specifically thinking, like, can they tell us when private LIHTC projects come to us whether or not we're getting a good deal or a bad deal, and to sort of help benchmark us against, our peer cities or whatever? Because I know that's always tough for me to look at a proposal and to know whether the city's getting a good deal or a bad deal, and I feel better about it when it's a national firm that does these everywhere across the whole country.
We've already hired Baker Tilly to review the annex group for the Orchard Court project,
Okay.
so they're doing that review. They are a large national firm with hundreds of employees, so they have expertise in various things. When we need expertise about something, like on their design team, we have a project, like a development manager and an architect. So when we got our agreement from the architect, I sent it to Baker Tilly, and they made comments, and now the architect is revising their scope and their agreement based on Baker Tilly's comments. And we even had local comments from our own engineering department, but they're a resource for us throughout the development process.
Okay, so there's a hybrid scenario where we have somebody on staff and still continue to consult with them because of or someone else for their expertise. Okay.
This will be quite the learning curve as we go. For the first one, who we need, how much time's involved, staff capacity, all that we'll be learning as we go through this first one.
Are there others in the state who have done this? Other municipalities? No, I'm just curious.
I don't know of any there are definitely housing authorities that have public housing programs, and I think Rock Island, maybe the East Central Iowa Housing Authority, they have a development arm, but I think a lot of them, they contract out with like a consultant.
Yeah.
I'd have to verify that, but I don't see it. Like Fort Collins, I went out to Fort Collins with Invest Health, and they had a housing authority that went into development about 15 years ago, and now they have a housing portfolio about 1,500.
Wow.
But they exclusively go after LIHTC projects and large,
Right.
so they have a whole development wing, but that took them 15 years to develop. We're not there yet.
No, I just think it's exciting, and at the very least, I know it's uncommon. And Rock Island is ringing a bell, actually. The area realtors are developing.
And we'll be developing capacity soon for us. I mean, we have between public housing and city-owned affordable housing, we have about 127 units. When the county conveys the 15 units, that increases 15 units. This will be 36 units. So within 2 years, we'll have over 50 units. And then we'll start planning the next project. When Baker Tilly says when you get about 2/3 done with this project, you start planning the next project. So now we're thinking about what the next one is.
I have another question. Since my proposal failed, I just want to tell you I'm very excited about this. I'm very passionate. That's why I'm just trying to do something. Can you please tell me how many bedroom out of the 18 will be 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%?
We have no targets at this point. It's just, we anticipate there'll be voucher holders that'll be primarily below 50% of median income, but then we also anticipate people applying. So I can't tell you for sure, like, I do know the Housing Trust Fund, for one of the funding, since they're giving us, they're providing 1.8 million. They have some targets of how many people we have to be at 30 and 50. I don't have that in front of me, but I can get it to you.
Yeah, because
Like, we have like 6 or 7 funders, they all have different requirements and different, so you're balancing that.
Yeah.
I just believe for the people who have a voucher, it's not going to be a problem. But for the people who don't have a vouchers, I want to see more 30% of the area median income for those people to be like having especially for families, 3 bedrooms and 6 bedroom. Yeah, I would love to know how many of those are like, and understand, because our problem, the city have done a lot for 60%, 80%, like, but not 30%, not a lot for 30%, and we are doing it right now. So hopefully we can have more 30% than any other number.
Do we know what, sorry, if totally fair if no one knows the answer to this question, what percentage of
Area median.
I swear this isn't a dumb question. What percentage of the area media income, what mostly do people fall under?
For the programs that we
Like what
assist?
percentage of the population
Oh, by
meets
census.
the criteria of 60% of the area media income?
I cannot tell you that. I'd have to look at census information.
Okay.
We have it, I think.
That
Conference
actually
has it.
might be in the,
In the
that
land-
actually
in
is
the
in
land use.
the comprehensive plan study that's ongoing. It's actually in
Okay.
6 months ago IP.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
does a community survey.
And that's
that
what I
has
was-
that data.
Yeah.
It was like blowing my mind because I was like, I know we've talked about this before,
Yep.
but I just couldn't think about.
Yeah.
I believe we'll have a natural mix between 0 and 60. But when the city's involved with any type of housing project, we typically will see people at the lower end, like below 50%, but it's not required. And of
Yeah.
course, we'll have people closer to 60, but we'll also have a lot of voucher holders under 50 or 30. So we hope to have a mix throughout the
Yeah, but
compliance period for all of them.
I just want to give you example. I'm going to go back on next. Like, for example, next, or even the other building in Coralville, for the 2-bedroom apartment, for somebody who are paying 30% of the area median income, they pay $700 for 2-bedroom apartment. Okay, for 1 bedroom is $639. For 3-bedroom is $900, and for like 3-bedroom is the maximum. So everything is under $1,000.
Yeah.
Which is really good. Nowadays, if you want outside, everything like $1,100 for 2-bedroom apartment. That's why I want to see more of 30%,
My apartment is like $800 a month, but it's also falling apart. And so it'll be really cool to have like really high quality units that are
Yeah.
this affordable and
Yeah.
attractive
I want
for
both.
everybody. Yeah, it's great.
I want both. I want affordable and very high quality. Why not? Because we don't want to put people, because people, their income is low, we want to put them in bad, like, kind of development. No, we don't want that.
I have one separate question, and that would be about existing infrastructure in this area. I mean, do we have adequate water, adequate sewer? Do we need to add sidewalks? And does that become debt for this project, or is that a separate thing?
We have water and sewer. Engineering's done the maps. We looked at that when we bought the lot. Isn't there a sidewalk there now?
Is the sidewalk network adequate
If it's,
there?
we'd have to probably replace it
Okay.
because we're going to be redeveloping and regrading.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And as far as we would follow the standard city requirements for parking?
actually with affordable housing, because it's all affordable housing, we don't have to have any parking. That being said, Baker Tilly says we have to have parking. You do.
Because the people who live there
people
will want to
drive.
have cars.
They
I
have
totally
cars.
understand that it's up, and it's like surface parking, not a covered garage.
No, it'll be surface.
Okay.
That's why you have the L-shaped building. The parking will be behind the building.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, building houses for people is great. Houses for cars, I'm not as excited about.
Yeah, we're not, we don't have the cash flow to do individual garages and stuff, so it'll be surface
Okay.
parking.
But
behind the building.
infrastructure-wise, there's not some separate thing the city should be thinking about? Okay.
They have to do the normal geotechnical, but we did environmental review already. We've done a phase 1 archaeological, phase 1 environmental assessment. So just, we're at the point where it's just standard construction, what you need when you hire architect
Great.
and that process from there on.
Great.
And no
So Cal-
P&Z, it's already zoned.
So council, lots of great discussion. It sounds like we are, I don't hear of any changes that we're proposing at this point to Tracy and the team. Is that correct? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item number 6, which is council updates on assigned boards, commissions, and committees.
I just had my first meeting with the Seats Advisory Committee, Seats and Paratransit. One interesting thing that was brought up to me, well, for one, a cool thing, I didn't know that Fare Free also went to Seats, which is great, like absolutely amazing for like
One way.
for one way, yeah. But it seems to me like there has been a issue regarding when somebody from, let's say, Iowa City takes a Seats ride to North Liberty, who has, in North Liberty, there's been an expanded of healthcare services there. Lots of people are now going there for healthcare and stuff like that. And North Liberty's, the billing ends up being weird and the timing ends up being really terrible. Like people will have to take a Seats ride out there like 6 hours before their appointment and then not be able to get a ride back for hours and hours after the fact. So that was one of the main things and that is because the destination is the entity that is responsible for the payment, is how that is structured. So if you got a Seats ride starting in Iowa City and ending in Iowa City, that would be under Iowa City's jurisdiction. But if it's from Iowa City to North Liberty, then North Liberty is the one that their rules apply. So that was a concern that people brought up during that meeting. And I don't know if anybody else has heard about it, but just thought I'd bring it up.
Talk to the North Liberty City Council, get them
Yeah.
do some stuff.
It's a common complaint that Darian's team fields. We've fielded some of those in our office too. As soon as that hospital opened, we started getting those calls.
Okay.
Yeah. Interesting. Thanks to
other-
USG for hosting
Yes.
council. It was a really wonderful experience. Got to talk to people and got to connect with a lot of people who live in Iowa City. So also, Councilor Alter and I participated in the comprehensive plan review meeting last week.
Yeah.
And we got the preview of what kinds of things are going to be coming towards us. So the assessment phase is done. They're putting together now
Draft.
more recommendation draft stuff. And so we got a preview. It will come to this council, so there's no reason for us to give you a shortened version of it. But it's exciting, and I think there's some good things that we'll have to think about that would maybe shake up zoning a little bit the way we're thinking about it now, but no radical changes, just incremental improvement.
And they're still taking conversations and input from different stakeholders. There was at one portion where they were kind of previewing some of their suggestions for zoning areas and whatnot. It had to do with the South District, and so there were people, Maurice Davies with South of Six, Fred Newell. So there were people already who were sort of like, well, why did you do this and that? And so as they were previewing it for us, they were saying, this is draft, but there's room for input from different stakeholders. So that was also heartening.
Yeah, go ahead and report on our 6-hour meeting.
Oh, yes. So Mazahir Saleh and I were in a 6-minute meeting. The rules meeting, the rules committee met, and I believe it's actually going to show up on our consent agenda? Yes. That we're going to be adding a University of Iowa facilities person who actually onto public art. And facilities is the umbrella term for the people who within the University of Iowa are engaged with doing art over on their side. Is that a correct summary?
Correct, yeah, that division would oversee public art on the campus too, so just a natural fit with our public art efforts here.
Yeah. So. It was arduous.
All right, hearing nothing else, we are adjourned from our work session, and we'll be back at 6 p.m. for our formal meeting.
Groovy.